Hello everyone, welcome back to AI the Somnium Files nirvanA Initiative. Now, first off, I gotta turn this volume down, there we go. Now, before we get back into this, something actually occurred to me today. It occurred to me that, what's-his-name, the doctor guy there, he didn't upload the video himself, he only witnessed the upload of the video. Why is that a forbidden memory for him? I still think Jinfurue uploaded it himself. I still think he did. I think he did it at her behest. I just don't know why. What's the point?
Yeah, but I'm also her bodyguard.
You look just like the bodyguards from the first
I
game.
used to be a bodyguard for a certain politician until the end of last year. He was a piece of human garbage. I slugged him in the face and resigned. Then ended up here thanks to an acquaintance introducing me.
Interesting.
I was only hired recently. I don't know much about it, really. Something funny. There, I said it.
He's so proud of himself, too. I am curious what his wink sync is. What do you know?
It was a heat of the moment thing, but I ended up quitting my job. I don't regret punching that scumbag, but what am I going to do now? I've got 10 children to think about.
10 children? That's a lot of kids.
What? A job? With the conditions I requested? Yeah, I'll do it. I'll do anything, as long as it's not illegal.
Interesting.
Your badge.
That's something phony.
What is this? A vaudeville routine? That wasn't funny at all.
Alright. About Pt.4, let's start right off hot.
I assume it would be pointless to hide it. Indeed. I had my subordinates create that video.
Okay, why?
Pt.4 was an ARG. Just a game.
Okay, I'm not buying that immediately. Simply because an ARG game, which actually would just be an alternate reality game, so that's not really accurate. An ARG would not lead people to a very significant genetic lab, basically, genetics lab. That research is too valuable for that to be part of a game. There's something else going on here. I'm calling it right now.
But there was a high-level encryption hiding a message within. We have been seeking high IQ individuals with the capability
Okay, so you're
to
talking
decode.
like Cicada again.
The purpose was to recruit them into NICE.
So this QR video was made for the same reason?
I am aware of that video. I saw it on the news. However, it's completely unrelated to NICE.
Theoretically. Alright, operating on the assumption that she's telling the truth in this instance, this means that whoever created this video was inspired by Pt.4.
I assume someone made it with the intent to imitate Pt.4.
What do you think, Tama?
Hard to say on that alone.
I'm giving that a 50% chance right now. Let me see. Chikara, that's his
Do you
name.
mean the man from Horodori Institute of Genetics?
So you do know him. I'm actually here because of a tip I got from him.
Shikara is under arrest?
No, he was just released earlier. We
We
didn't
held
have
him for
enough
24
evidence to
hours
keep him
without bail.
detained.
I see.
You're funding him, aren't you?
Shikara is a former member of NICE.
Really?
Though this was over 20 years ago. When he left us, he became an avid believer in the Order of Percent.
Interesting.
Order
What
of
is the Order of
Percent?
Percent?
It's an organization that split off from NICE.
Now you're beginning
You
to
could
make
say they are a
NICE sound
sect.
like a religion.
The Order of Percent is a religious sect.
It kind of is,
whereas
okay.
we are an ideological society.
You're just an ideological religion, basically. Okay.
Despite our common roots, we are heading in completely different directions.
So, NICE Laws, I believe that's how it's pronounced, is suffering a civil war right now.
Then how did Chikara know that NICE created Pt.4?
I wouldn't know about that. Perhaps he asked an acquaintance from NICE.
Interesting.
I
did you
had a
end up
very
here?
hard time finding the place. After all, NICE is a secret organization hidden from the public.
That's a good thing Boss just happened to know someone who knew this location. Otherwise, we
I like how no one questions that she just happens to know
Even after
someone.
I got inside the building, it wasn't easy. The guards, the security gates. If I hadn't met Mamoru at the
A
entrance,
really
I
minimalist
probably
office
wouldn't even have made it
with
to this
suspiciously
office.
similar statues to the ones found in Chikara's lab.
I know about Abyss, and I know it's trustworthy. That's why I let you through to talk to the president.
Interesting.
Anyway, I was surprised. I had heard of NICE, a secret organization, but I thought it was just an urban legend. I can't believe it actually exists.
Yes, there has been all sorts
Tuh.
of gossip about us. Some claim we're a secret society of Satanists, or that we have something to do with a sequence of binary code that came from space. But that's all nonsense. Made-up stories that become more and more embellished as they were passed
I believe
on.
that part.
Rumors are quite a terrifying thing. NICE is a perfectly legitimate ideological society. Our headquarters are located in New York, with many branches in cities
Oh, so you're
throughout
like
the world.
a knockoff Scientology,
This is one such branch.
basically, with less religious overtones, basically. And the sect, the Order of Percentage, is basically a knockoff of Scientology with the religious undertones added back in. Okay,
This is a common misconception, but NICE is not a religious
not
organization.
technically.
We are a group of like-minded individuals who act together based on a certain understanding of the universe.
Which is basically a religion.
And that is?
The simulation theory.
Ah,
Have you
okay.
heard of it?
So rather than believing in a classic deity or science specifically, you believe that the universe is a simulation, which is basically, if you look at the idea of simulation theory being essentially the worship of the idea that there is something that created us in a godlike fashion but isn't actually a god, it's not really that different from a religion.
That the world is an artificial simulation of reality created by someone or something. That's the theory.
You're saying everything in this world we're living in isn't real?
Yes. It's a false world constructed with specific rules by a program.
Oh, your version is a program. Okay. What created the program?
And if it is made by a program, there must by necessity be imperfections, edges, or seams. To find these seams, or to create them, is our objective.
Why would you do that?
If you tear at the seams of a cloth, it will unravel, and a hole will be created.
Yes.
Thusly, we will tear at the seams of the program until it is unraveled.
So you expect to
and
be
its
able to break
people
out of the
emancipated.
simulation by creating a tear in the programming, assuming that it is a program in the first place, which is a fairly safe assumption if simulation theory is true. However, this does not preclude the possibility that creating a tear in the program, as you put it, won't just wipe out the existence of the program entirely and thereby take this existence with it.
That is our ultimate goal.
This old hack has completely lost it.
The intersection between the warp and weft. That's where the seam
How do you
occur.
know?
I don't understand.
And what is a weft in this situation?
You will
Define
someday.
weft
It is
in
a
this
prophecy.
context.
It will be fulfilled.
And now they even have
eventually.
prophecies. It's a religion. It's
is
a
that?
religion.
It's a hand sign we use. It's meant to resemble the sign behind me.
Not a bad imitation. Okay.
Judging by the way you asked that, I assume that's Jin's estimated time of death?
Well, yes.
I was in Okinawa from the night of the 8th. I had a seminar to attend on the 9th and 10th. I returned to Tokyo late last night.
I checked the logs for hotels and airports, for smartphone access points, and the security footage for each location.
Thank you, Tama.
It's true that Tokiko was in Okinawa from the 8th to the 10th.
So she has an alibi.
In theory.
As long as you presume Jin's body wasn't brought back with her from Okinawa.
I can't link sync with her, which is interesting. That's not a doll.
That's the Nanyapal X, the symbol of NICE.
Non-Yupal means consisting of 9. You know how there's single, double, triple? Non-Yupal is the 9th.
So non-Upal X means 9 X's?
Seems so.
Did you know that Nizatlaws is derived from 9-exed lozenge? Lozenge referring to a diamond shape. In other words, Nizatlaws means the 9 X's of the diamond.
Well, in a shortened form, yes. That would be what that means.
By the way, would you mind if I asked you a question?
What is it?
Are you perhaps a Freyer?
Freyer?
I am asking the person within you.
Oh!
What?
I will ask you one more time. Are you a Freyer?
Ah! Am I a Freyer? I don't know what you mean by that, but I'm going to operate off of the idea, basically. that you are asking me directly as a human being outside of the game if I am someone who can create seams in the world. How do I answer that? Ryuki has the ability, I think, to see things, but I don't necessarily know if I myself would be a Freyer. I am not deliberately creating seams in the program, at least at this point. So I'm going to say no here.
I see. Then I must have been mistaken.
What is a Freyer? Frey. Right. I remember now.
It was written on that sign.
Frey to free. Frey can mean fight,
Ah,
but it can also mean to wear out or tear.
Remember what Tokiko said. Their ultimate goal is to break down this world and emancipate its people.
Miss Shigure, are you sure Nyes didn't make the QR video?
it wasn't Nyes, it was the other side.
We did not.
But the word Frey was written on that sign in the QR code.
We of Nyes are only involved in Bats 490.
The
which we
the
created
order
half a
of
year
percentage.
ago.
The order of percent created the video.
We are not the ones who created the QR video. The word Frey being displayed on that sign must be a coincidence.
Nope.
That can't be
I-
just a coincidence.
Oh, but it can. After all, we are living in nothing but a simulation.
No, I know who did it.
A false world
Well,
created
I know
by
the
a
group
program.
responsible. It's the order of percent,
And such
obviously.
programs always have some glitches lurking
The question
under the
is
surface.
why and what is its
We
significance?
call such glitches seams. Coincidences like this are a manifestation of such glitches. Proof of imperfection.
No.
Proof of the seams. The appearance of Jin's corpse is also likely to be an example of such phenomenon.
What?
Are you familiar with the Philadelphia experiment?
I've heard of it, but
It's
I
a
don't
top
think...
secret military experiment that's said to have taken place in the American city of Philadelphia on October 28, 1943. A powerful electromagnetic wave was fired towards the USS Eldridge, a destroyer-class warship. Supposedly, the reason for doing this was to conceal the ship from showing up on radar. But as soon as the experiment began, something strange happened. The Eldridge was enshrouded in a greenish mist, then vanished. Afterward, it appeared at a military port in Norfolk, nearly 200 miles away from the shipyard in Philadelphia. Sometime later, it reappeared in its original
Define
position
sometime
again.
later. We don't have really specific time frames here for this. Why?
So you're saying it teleported?
Well, it's nothing but an urban legend. Just an occult story with low credibility.
Yes, exactly. However, the story doesn't end there. When the USS Eldridge returned to Philadelphia, there were several sailors on board, but some of them had melted like a rotten banana, while others ended up with their bodies entirely burned and blackened. Others were said to have merged with the steel hull, their bodies having
I'm not
become a
buying
piece
this,
of the
honestly.
ship. Does that sound familiar?
You mean Jin? Are you saying his right half teleported here?
No, that doesn't match up.
It isn't impossible.
Yes, it is.
If a seam was torn, that is.
Impossible.
No, I'm still buying time travel. At this point. I don't think it's a seam. At least not at this point. I would need more evidence. That is a very tenuous connection to be making there. Granted, time travel isn't exactly a strong contender either, but it's the best I've got
you
so
like
far.
this park, don't you, Ryuki?
I feel calm when I'm around nature. It's like I can feel the buzz inside me quieting down. Tama, what do you think about what Tokiko said earlier? Is something like teleportation really possible?
Hey, come on. I told you the Philadelphia experiment is just an urban legend.
How else can you explain what happened with Jin? We can't deny that his right half suddenly appeared out of nowhere.
Jeez. Then why don't we find out for ourselves?
What do you mean? You want to go to the studio right now?
No need. Just close your eyes.
You're gonna create a
eyes?
simulation of it.
Just do it.
Okay.
What is that? Is that a riding whip? No, they're called riding crops, aren't they? Yeah, you're gonna create a simulation. Knew it. Not bad.
What the? Did we teleport here?
Are you serious?
We're in Studio Devita, aren't we?
It just seems that way. We're not actually there. Last night, I scanned every nook and cranny of the scene. What you're looking at now is what I replicated using that data.
Wow. It's like I'm actually there. The corpse looks so real.
Want me to put a mosaic over it?
Uncensored is fine.
Now, less digressing and more investigating. Your objective is to solve the mystery behind the sudden appearance of Jin's right half.
Alright, let's start looking around.
Virtual reality activation. Okay. The VR allows you to walk around the scene and gather information. Tama's special vision modes, such as X-ray mode, can be applied to everything. Interesting. By changing the special mode, what you can inspect will change. Utilize this to find the hidden information. We're operating very similarly to how a sink works. Alright, let's start with the corpse.
Like I mentioned yesterday, Jin's estimated time of death is 6 o'clock on February 9th. Based on the time his corpse appeared, it should be about 40 hours ago. Rigor mortis seems to be fading already. It's not completely gone yet, but the body has somewhat softened at this point.
Notice there's no blood stains around where the sign was inserted into the
It
body.
should take more time to get to this stage if it's been on a rooftop in the winter. That's why I think this corpse was kept indoors. Someplace warm.
Rigor mortis was already fading, and the body had somewhat softened by the time it was found. There was also, again, no blood where the sign was inserted, so he had stopped bleeding before the sign was placed in the body. Can we see anything else?
What's this? Getting a better look at it. It looks like something tied to his waist. It's like a spider's thread. No, even thinner.
My analysis concludes that this is a CNT, or carbon nanotube. Graphene sheets with the thickness of a single carbon atom. These were rolled into a cylindrical shape to make these nanotubes. The diameter is about 0.4 nanometers. A single nanometer is 1/1000th of 1 meter.
This is how we entered the
it's
studio.
not visible to the naked eye.
Okay, so time travel is looking less likely. He was dropped from the ceiling.
What? But I can see it.
That's because this thread is made by bundling multiple CNTs. I've also enhanced your vision so you'd be able to see it. By the way, CNTs are extremely durable. They're elastic and hard to break, and it's said that their theoretical maximum tensile strength is 50
Easily enough to
times
carry
that
a
of
body
steel.
with just a single strand or
Anyway.
two.
Where is the other end of the CNT connected?
Okay. Placed over the rafters. To
That
the
way.
lights.
Over by that red lamp.
I have a sneaking suspicion I know what this is.
What's this?
It's the light switch.
Yep.
The CNT is tied to it.
The CNT extending from the corpse was threaded through the ceiling beam and tied to the light switch. Okay. That's fine. Now let's look at the
I
sign.
wonder how deep this sign is embedded.
What do we do at times like these?
X-ray.
Right, the X-ray. Wow, I can switch to X-ray mode too.
That's because I've gathered all data from the scene.
There's
The
two other
bottom part
objects
the
inside of
signboard
him.
is stuck pretty deep in there.
There's a bit of a curve at the tip.
No.
Kind of like a man's, you know what?
Couldn't you have compared it to a fish hook or something?
Well, it won't come out easily. Whoever stuck it in probably didn't want it pulled out.
Of course not. A signboard would be useless unless it's standing.
It's useless unless it's standing?
Let's not go there.
No, that's not what I meant.
Can we talk about the fact that there are two other objects inside of him? Two other
What's
cylindrical
this?
objects?
There's
There we go.
something inside the body.
3 things catch my attention. First,
Oh, and a
mixture
bolt.
of potassium chlorate, sulfur, and red phosphorus. This is probably a fire starter.
That would
Would
be how
ignite
the,
very
the
easily.
corpse caught on fire after the
The
fact.
fuse is coiled up and extends from
It's a
there.
fuse coil, okay.
By the way, the fuse includes an oxidizing agent, so it can continue to burn even inside the body.
Okay.
And finally, at the end of the fuse is a powder mixture of iron oxide
Now
and
is this
aluminum.
timed?
This is a substance that causes a
Okay,
thermite
yes.
reaction. When ignited, it creates heat of over 3,000 degrees Celsius and burns violently.
That's how it caught on fire after the fact. The chemicals were probably either released or they just mixed well enough after a certain amount of time to actually catch fire on their own.
Okay, it looks like we're pretty much done investigating here. Using the clues we've gathered so far, we should be able to solve the mystery.
The question is...
You mean the mystery of how Jin's body appeared?
Okay, so what we can conclude here is that the prior night, the night prior to the show, somebody attached this half of Jin's pre-bled body to the ceiling, very specifically, with the sign already stuck in it, so that way it would survive and remain upright after impact with the ground. The question is, why was Jin Furway the one chosen to die? Was it because he is very likely the person who posted Bats 490? If that's the case, is there more going on with that video than what meets the ear? It's a really good question. Okay, so we know how it's done, but we don't know by who or why. Not time travel, though, so that's out the
That's
window.
what you're talking about, right?
Yep.
I was so ready to jump right onto that immediately. The truth reenactment allows you to find the truth with the information you have gathered. Answer Thomas' questions with the best answer. Okay, so this is like the first one. Only by correctly answering her questions will the truth be
Let's
reenacted.
get on that now. First thing, about that power outage when the body appeared. Was it really just a power outage?
No.
I was wondering about that too. The lights came back on way too quickly. Plus, if the power did go out, the stream should have cut out at the same time.
But the stream went on, no problem.
So it wasn't an outage. The lights were switched off.
So how did the lights get turned off?
Well, I think I know what did it.
How did the lights get turned off? Someone pulled a light switch. Duh. Right next to the door, incidentally.
That's the switch that powers the lighting.
Yeah, let's not overthink this. Someone simply walked up and flipped this switch.
But no one was near the switch when the lights went out. Let's try to think of something else.
That doesn't matter because the door is right here. Somebody could easily slip in and out of there very quickly.
An electric kettle?
Maybe if someone turned on this kettle while the studio was using its maximum amperage.
But the breaker didn't trip. There must be
That's
some
true.
other way.
Some other way would have to be the corpse.
There were bundled CNTs tied to the body. They were routed through the ceiling beams and onto the light switch.
That's the only
But a
explanation.
dead body can't pull strings.
No, but it can fall. From the ceiling, I mean.
Now that you mention it, I thought I heard something hit the floor right after the lights
Somebody
went
was
out.
up in the rafters and kicked the body off the rafter, thereby pulling the light switch immediately.
The body fell from the ceiling and tugged on the CNT, which caused the light switch to turn off.
This gave the person
So
who was
on
up
to
in the
the next
rafters
question.
the opportunity to escape without being seen.
The corpse was hidden up in the ceiling, right? Then how did it fall?
Somebody would have had to have kicked it. The rigor mortis softened. It was timed with the rigor mortis.
The culprit used the mechanism of the body softening after rigor mortis.
So it easily could have been set up the prior night before anyone was even in the studio, and then the culprit could have walked away and not ever even been near the scene at the time.
The body must have been placed up in the ceiling like a bridge between two beams. It would stay up there while the body is still stiff.
Once it softened enough to the
But as time
correct
passes
point,
and rigor mortis lessens, the corpse softens.
And that's what made it fall down. Now, for
Very
the final
clever.
question, why did the body explode and
that would be the
burn?
chemicals inside the body.
Well, that can be explained
I'm
by
not
using
exactly
the X-ray mode.
sure of why it waited that long specifically, but I know it was the chemicals
It's
within the
because
body.
of the contraption set up inside the body. The ignition agent combusted from the
was
impact
the
of the body
right-hand one,
hitting
okay.
the ground. The fire went up the coiled fuse and onto the substance
I
that
see.
triggered a
The
thermite
smaller one was the
reaction.
timing mechanism,
The substance was
with
eventually
the coil
ignited,
used to
causing
delay it to a
huge
specific
explosion.
time.
So that interval between the fall and explosion was because of the time it took for the fire to reach the end of the fuse. I get it. It was hard to find traces of that trick because it was such an
Yeah,
analog
no
method.
electronics.
All right, I think we're starting to figure things out here. So you can turn off this VR space now.
No, not yet. That was just a rehearsal. We still have the main show.
What do you mean?
We're recreating the culprit's actions.
Are you telling me to do that?
You're the only actor here, aren't you?
Actor?
Okay. So now we have to set it up like the killer did.
So, I'm Tama, the director and camera operator. Now that I'm in the director's chair, I'm not going to tolerate shoddy acting. So keep that in mind.
Are we recording something?
Of course we are. We're testing a theory here, so we need to create something that can be viewed objectively.
Which is a fair point.
I have no idea what
No,
you're
she's
going on
right.
about.
She's right.
Shut your stupid mouth, you third-rate bit part actor! Are you too much of a moron to figure this out without the director having to tell you everything?
But
Just zip it and play the culprit. If we're doing this, we're going for the
Macadamy
Academy
Award.
Award.
Macadamy? Like the nuts?
Enough! Let's get this started. Ready? Action!
Did she slap him?
Hi! I'm, the culprit who killed Jin. Now, prepare to witness an amazing show featuring this corpse.
Featuring this corpse.
Not only is your acting amateurish, but I don't even understand what kind of character you're trying to play here.
I am an amateur.
Well, this is just the beginning, so I'll give you a pass for now. Let's start with the positioning of the body. Where and how was it placed?
Well,
Now, I know why the body was cut in half so evenly. That would ensure that
was
it
right
landed
here.
flat so the sign could be seen upright. The question is, why Jin Furway? That's going to go a long way. When we understand why Jin was chosen as the corpse, we go a long way towards figuring out who the culprit was.
the body was placed so it was hung like a bridge between two beams.
You can place it like this because it was stiff from rigor mortis. So that's how they did the light trick.
Carbon nanotubes, CNT, were tied to the body. The CNT went up the beams and extended downward onto the light switch.
CNT is too thin to be seen with the naked eye, so no one noticed it.
I've got it all set up. Now I just need to wait for the rigor mortis to subside.
Hey, aren't you supposed to be in character?
Boy! I sure hope the corpse
Don't
gets
sashay like that,
softer
please.
soon.
Not while standing still.
It needs to be soft and squishy! Like an octopus!
This scene makes no sense. I'm cutting it out.
You made me do it!
And after time passed, rigor mortis began to subside.
Causing the body to fall, pulling the light switch before it reached visual range. Splat goes the body.
The body falls, and the impact sets off the ignition agent inside it. The fire travels up the fuse line.
Soon after, a staff member turns on the lights.
And lo and
Bam!
behold,
A body appears, as if it teleported in out of nowhere. Sometime later, the burning fuse inside the body reaches the explosives.
now why was it necessary to burn the body? Was that simply for the show? To emphasize the message? Or was that to prevent us
That
from
is
finding
the
out
truth
anything
behind
else?
The corpse's sudden appearance and explosion.
Cut! Good work. I got some nice footage of the reenactment.
I still don't understand why the acting was necessary.
Alright. Now the question is, how did the other half get into the stadium in the present? That's another question.
It all makes sense now. That corpse didn't teleport here after all.
I must confess I was wrong.
Of
I went
course it didn't.
immediately for time travel, which was... I mean, I still could be right on that, but...
Though the culprit obviously wanted it to seem that way.
Half of a body just suddenly appearing out of nowhere.
Now, where is the other half being stored as well?
Just like the Philadelphia experiment. Someone went through all that trouble to make it look like something strange occurred.
I think they also wanted to draw as much attention as
I
possible
agree.
to that sign.
It still doesn't answer why Jin was the chosen victim of this.
Oh, so they could spread that QR video. Their goal was to make it seem like a supernatural phenomenon.
That's fair.
That's why they couldn't leave the CNT on the scene.
Because it would give away the trick?
Right.
Ah, so the fire was actually to burn the CNT.
So that's why they caused a thermite reaction and
Okay.
destroyed the CNT.
That makes more sense. CNT is highly flammable carbon material. It doesn't stand a chance against 3000 degree temperature, but it bonds with oxygen to create carbon dioxide, which helps extinguish the flame. I see, so the thread would have been destroyed in an instant.
The culprit must have wanted the body to fall during the live stream, right? It would have been pointless otherwise. But could they really predict when rigor mortis would dissipate so accurately?
The culprit
Very
didn't
likely.
put the corpse up on the ceiling beams while it was completely stiff. It had to have been after the body had started to soften, just slightly. That way, they could estimate that the body would fall in a few hours or so. The stream was scheduled for a whole 6 hours.
So there's a 6-hour time span in which the culprit had to set this up.
Culprit was fine as long as the body fell sometime during that period.
Interesting.
That body fell from the studio ceiling. If it fell sideways when it landed,
That's
the
why it had to
culprit's
be cut in
plans
half
would
like
have been
that.
ruined.
Yes, like you said, it would have been pointless unless the sign was standing erect. Just like a man's you-know-what.
Come on, Tama.
Again with that joke? Besides, it is not useless when it's not erect.
Exactly.
What?
There was another purpose to the sign. It's the same reason darts and rockets have tails.
I get it. The cut surface would naturally face the ground because of that sign. It was meant to control the body's posture as it fell.
Which is why the arrow is in it. Okay. For the shock value, basically.
So,
Why
to
Jin?
wrap it all
That's
up,
what I'm really stuck on. Why was Jin Faraway targeted for this? In theory, anybody could have done the trick, but he was chosen very specifically. Was it because he was associated with Knights Laws? Was it because he uploaded the Bats 490 video? Why?
the
Why
culprit's
him?
motive was to make this seem like a supernatural phenomenon and to spread the QR video,
I
right?
need to find out motive.
I don't know
Why
if that's all
Jin
there
be
is to
chosen?
it, but probably.
I wonder why Jin was chosen.
Thank you, Ryuki, for finally asking the question I've been asking myself the past 10
Who
minutes.
knows?
Where could his left side be?
It hasn't been found yet. Anyway, starting our search with the people who might have the intel we need.
We need to start looking at people who would have a grudge against Jin Faraway.
Like who?
Jin's right half was up in the studio ceiling the whole time we were shooting the show. There must be someone who knew about it, or at least noticed it.
You mean the director, Shinpei Wagai?
Right.
Where is he now?
I've tracked him down using his smartphone GPS. He's in Akihabara right now, at the Maid Cafe Sunfish
Not surprised.
Pocket.
We'll have a conversation with him really quick, and then I might end the episode after that. I was hoping we would have like a conversation in the limo to kind of put our story, our questions together. It looks a little more depressing than it did in the first one. There he is.
There he is.
Ah, shit.
That's an interesting reaction. Wow! That escalated really quickly.
Damn.
Why did he escalate that quickly? So he does know something. This basically confirms that. Okay, I apparently can use WASD for this. I instinctively pressed the S key for that. I'm assuming he can see these because of Tama. That was very close. I almost didn't hit that one because I wasn't expecting enter. That was a good kick. Good kick. That was some really extreme escalation for this
Firing
context.
your gun in here? Are you insane? There are customers and staff in here.
My bad.
An apology is not gonna cut it.
Several people have called the authorities. The
Good.
local police should be here soon.
Hey, can't you just let me go?
Hell no! You shot at me for literally no reason. You couldn't even confirm that I was here to question you. I was, but you didn't know that. You just assumed, busted out the gat.
What?
I told you, my girl's pregnant, right? I can't go to jail! That's why I accepted his offer in the first
Aha,
place.
financial reasons. He was in a financially vulnerable position. He had just left the Yakuza, didn't have a job, had very little prospects because he was in the Yakuza before. His girlfriend was pregnant, needed money, got a job offer to hide the body up in the ceiling.
I needed money to take care of my kid.
Accepted whose offer?
Some guy named Terror. I don't know his real name. Haven't seen his face or heard his voice either.
Okay.
All my contact with him was through Nile.
What did he ask you to do?
He said,
Are you gonna get, like, taken out by terror? I want to borrow your studio for an hour or so on the 10th. Before you start prepping for the stream, do not let anyone near the studio during this time. That includes you. All you need to do is keep the entrance unlocked. That's all. I'll pay you 5 million. If everything goes well, I'll pay you on the night of the 11th. Wow.
So me and the staff haven't met this terror guy at all.
So the staff knew about it. Like, all the staff? Does that mean the host knew about it, too? I would be curious to know if the host knew about it.
I don't know what happened in the studio either. I had no idea that was gonna happen.
Well, we can probably get you for accessory after the fact, but I doubt we can get anything else. Come to Class 3A at Sekiba High. You'll get your money there.
Class 3A at Sekiba High.
Ryuki.
Yeah, let's go.
That's a strange place to meet. That is not what I would classically assume to be a meeting location for a money drop-off. Why here? Isn't this... Oh, my goodness.
The director of Horodori Institute of Genetics, Chikara Horodori.
Okay, now I have an immediate question. Did the Terror know Ryuki had the phone at the time and set this up specifically for that reason? If so, why here? I understand why Jin's body fell with the sign on a live stream for a popular show. I believe it was popular. I can understand why that was. I don't understand why Jin was chosen, which is a significant question that needs to be answered, but I understand why it had to happen then and there. Why are we here at Class 3A of Sekiba High with Chikara Horodori's corpse? Or half-corpse?
It can't be.
Why here? Also, we saw him, and he's already drained of blood? Exactly how does that work? How quickly can one drain blood out of a body? Specifically. I would need to look this up. I'll probably look this up over the course of the day.
Mr. Date told me about this shrine. This place is so full of nature. Just like Yoyagi Park. It's just calming here.
It is calming. It's a beautiful location.
Tama, would you mind giving me some support?
What do you mean?
I've been thinking about Chikara's murder.
Are you sure you're okay, Ryuki?
He is not okay.
What do you mean?
I feel like all of this has been taking a huge mental toll on you.
I'm fine. More importantly, can you recreate the crime scene for me? I just need to close my eyes, right?
Yeah, but... Fine. I'll play along. You are technically my master. I can't disobey your orders.
That's some strange phraseology there, but
Thanks.
okay.
Let's start then.
Technically, he'd be considered more of a host than anything else. Also, how is he stuck to the wall?
It's perfect. It's just like the real thing.
I learned how to do 3D modeling in a correspondence course. Back when I was a student, my grandma told me I should learn a skill set.
Alright, we're actually going to stop this here because I don't want to do two of these in one episode. So we're going to save this for next episode, especially since we have a whole lot of new information and a whole lot more questions now than answers. I swear, we answered a couple of questions on Jin's murder, and now we've got like a dozen more questions, not only about Jin's murder, but also this. So hopefully this will generate more questions. Anyways, with that being said, thank you all very much for joining me. If you liked this, please like and subscribe. If you didn't, please ignore me. And if you have any comments, questions, concerns, ideas, suggestions, or requests, please leave them down in the comment section below. And thank you all very much for joining me, and have a great 24 hours.